We are live across Birmingham, the Black Country and Shropshire, or wherever you're listening on the app or online. We are Grogeous FM, of course, and it's time for my music guest. He was part of a band that were formed in 1998. They were huge. 2 number ones, 6 other top 10 hits. He was part of A1. He is Mark Reed, and he's here. Hello, mate.
Hey, Lee, how you doing? Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. Now, yeah, I mean, back then, I remember I worked in music telly at the time. I mean, bands were just, I know bands are huge now, but pop bands were huge, weren't they?
That's right. Well, there were so many like TV shows and magazines where people could go and see their favourite pop bands, and that's very different now, because where do you go to see your favourite pop bands now? You go to TikTok, you go to YouTube, and it just doesn't feel the same to me. It doesn't feel quite the same.
There was such a buzz, wasn't there? Because I remember Saturday morning telly was like, if you went on there, your single would like escalate up the chart quite quickly. There was a real, like you said, a real buzz around all those shows, because you knew it was kind of having an impact, because kids were sat at home watching Saturday morning telly.
Absolutely, and I know every generation will sort of say something similar, but I really do feel like that was a real boom for Saturday morning kids TV. Obviously, I think it was probably the best ever, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, because we were on it a lot of times. But when you look at shows like SMTV and CD UK, I don't think that has ever been bettered since, and there really wasn't anything like it before. And we were very lucky to kind of get our break on a show like SMTV. That was where we did our first TV performance, and just for some of your younger listeners, SMTV, if you don't know, was Anton Deck's Saturday morning TV show. I know everybody's going to know that, but I just thought I would clarify.
Well, they might not. They might. Yes,
exactly. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And when you say, when I've said to like my friends' nephews or kids or whatever, and I'm like, 4 hours of telly, they're like, what? Like, kids would never sit down and watch 4 hours of telly at a certain time now. But I mean, that time, what was great about you guys, actually, I remember, was, we had obviously the manager Tim, your manager, managed Steps as well. There were loads of bands, Atomic Kids, and loads of bands around. But the difference, I think, between you guys is you kind of wrote a lot of the stuff yourselves. You played instruments. It wasn't just like a lot of the time at that point, bands where people stood and danced and stuff. You were different, weren't you?
Well, that was the plan. I don't know who it's important to. It was certainly important to us, but I think, obviously the most important thing is that you got great songs. And but yeah, our manager, who, as you said, managed Steps as well, he wanted to have a band where each member could either play instruments or write songs, and they had to have that kind of musical depth. And Christian in the band, he'd actually been studying in Liverpool in Paul McCartney's famed school. And myself and Ben were in a band together. In fact, Paul was the only one that came through the audition process. Tim Burton had an audition of thousands of people, and Paul came through that. And he'd actually been living in Spain at the time, and he came over for the audition. And so this was way back when, as you say, it was like 98. 98 was when we first actually kind of came on the scene. But yeah, it's such a different time, and I don't know how bands today kind of what process they go through, because when we started out, we did school tours. We did all the club tours. We'd be playing all the clubs across the country. We'd be trying to get onto shows like big Party in the Parks and things like that. And but there really isn't a lot like that around now anymore.
No, well, I think a lot of bands now do come from kind of, it's kind of died a slight death as well, but the X Factors and the Voice and stuff like that, hasn't it? That kind of came about. But you also...
That changed everything, really.
That
really
change
everything, yeah.
But what was it like? I've often had this discussion with different people, solo artists and bands. I think when you're at that level of fame, it must be amazing to be in a band, because you're all going through it at the same time. But then being in a band at that level of fame, does it cause a lot of kind of like, I want to be solo? Do you know what I mean? There must be advantages to both, basically.
I've always been really into bands. Growing up, I've listened to so many great bands like Queen and the Beatles and stuff. So I've never particularly had massive desire to be a solo artist, but I know when you are in a band and you're in each other's pockets and you're on top of each other the whole time, you do go through phases where it would be nice to branch out on our own. But we try to have the best of both worlds, where we all do our own individual projects, but we always come back together as a band. Similar to other bands. bands, you know, say like Take That and like Boyzone as well, where and Westlife as well, so where people have their own individual projects, but we kind of appreciate that what we have together is stronger than, you know, what we do individually.
It's great to think that as well, and not be. I think that's brilliant. And I think what we've come into this time is people love, especially after lockdown, people love nostalgia. So people have loved these bands and these programs and stuff where they've known from the past. I think it's like it's great that all bands are reformed in a way now, which didn't happen for ages.
Oh, I mean, it really is a nostalgia boom, isn't it? Really, and who would have predicted that we would be doing virtual concerts online for our fans 20 years ago?
I know.
In 20 years' time, you are going to be having a concert on a thing called Zoom, where you can have 200 fans on little screens watching you.
And to the extreme of that, you've had Justin Bieber doing it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But listen, we're going to talk, because you guys are coming back for a tour. We're going to talk about that after we play my favourite A1 song. This is a tune. I think I thought it got to number 1, but it didn't, did it? Did it get to number 2, I think, this?
Do you know what? Enrique Iglesias with his Hero just beat us out to the number 1
that was
spot.
another tune, to be honest.
It was a huge hit, so we were in good company.
That was a good, tough call. Yeah, this is A1 with Caught in the Middle. You're listening to Taking You to Lunch with me, Lee Salisbury, on Grogeous FM. Mark Reed is still here from A1. Hello, mate.
Hey,
so
what a great song, Caught in the Middle. Should have been number 1, eh?
Should have been number 1. I mean, you need to re-release it. It's still, you know, some songs so last the test of time, and that one does. I think if that got re-released now, it would be a huge hit. I mean, it's just, that song is, but I remember, I always think I've got quite a good judge of music, and when I first heard that song, it was an instant one. Do you know what I mean? That first little riff, it's amazing. But
a lot of people got that feeling, and that's a really great thing. And as you say, a lot of songs don't actually, you know, reach their full potential first time around. Aha's Take on Me took being released 3 times before it became a big hit.
Oh, did it? Wow. Well, there we go. Let's start the campaign to get Caught in the Middle back.
Yes.
If you're at home, download it now. You can. But you guys are back for a tour, and I think, am I right in saying that all 4 of you are back?
That's right. Yeah, we have been back together for quite some time now, just at least a couple of years. Myself, Ben and Christian had been doing the rounds as a 3-piece. We've been back together since, I don't know, probably 2009, and doing lots of shows, Asian tours and things like that. But Paul had always been missing from the band. So, you know, when the time was right for him, I mean, he'd been, you know, he's got 2 daughters now, and so actually the time was right for him to come back into the band. So it was like the final piece of the puzzle, and we've been back together ever since. We put our first tour on sale since Paul rejoined, and it sold out in like 4 minutes. So people were really excited to see us back, and now we've got another tour coming this year, and it's called the A Game Tour, and we're really using this tour as an opportunity to showcase some new songs as well as all the hits, of course. But we did.
I mean, we were speaking before. Have you managed to write new songs together over lockdown, though? That's the problem, because you're all in different countries, aren't you?
That's right, yeah, we're all in different places. Ben and Christian now live in Norway, and Paul's up in Newcastle, and I'm down in the south. So it's harder to get together, but we can still write together over Zoom and, you know, FaceTime, and we have written a lot of new songs together. But it's been a little bit like the same for a lot of bands. It's all being done remotely at the moment, which isn't the same as being in the studio together.
No. Well, how exciting when you get together and you're going to play the songs you've written and played via Zoom in a room together. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. But the tour, we will be doing all the hits as well, but we're going to be showcasing a few new tunes as well, which we're very, very excited about.
Brilliant.
We were only in Birmingham a couple of years back for the Boys Are Back tour, and but we will be back as part of our tour as well, and that will be at Town Hall.
I've got it here. You are the 20th of October in Birmingham.
Yes.
That's when you were playing Birmingham. And there's some other dates just for you listening elsewhere around the country. So it starts in September, the 10th, Bristol, 11th, Shepherd's Bush in London, my old stomping ground where I used to live. Great little concert venue, that, actually. 14th, Portsmouth, 15th, Hull, 16th, Brighton, near where I was from, where I was born. You're going everywhere. It's like a tour of Lee here. 12th is No, not the 12th. It must be the 22nd. Is Oslo? Random fly off to Oslo in UK dates, not in the UK, obviously. 26th Sheffield. October, we got the 17th Nottingham, 19th Glasgow, 20th Birmingham, for everyone listening, obviously Birmingham, 21st Manchester, 22nd Southend, and then ending in Brighton again. Is there a special place in your heart for Brighton? Is that your stomping ground?
Well, not too far. I mean, I'm actually originally from Kingston in Surrey, and but I spent a lot of time in Brighton, and that was actually a very special place for us as a band back in the day. We'd always perform there a lot. So yeah, very excited to be going back there. I feel like you should be joining us on this tour, as so many of these places are like your old stomping grounds.
I know they are.
Maybe
it literally is a bit of a tour. Yeah. I've kind of most of those I've got, apart from Oslo. I've never been to Oslo, but that could be the special one. Yeah, but absolutely. No, listen. I'm so excited. I would definitely come and see you. As I said, we've talked before. Again, I remember working with you guys, and I always, back in the day again, there were a few bands that weren't as nice. A1 were the nicest. You were the nicest guy. It was always a pleasure working with you. But you've done some solo stuff. As we said, you love being in bands. We're going to play your latest kind of single, would you call it? You would call it a single, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I mean, as I say, before the lockdown, I hadn't planned on releasing any solo songs, but, when all of a sudden you find yourself at home, all your gigs cancelled, you kind of get your creative, and I wrote 3 new songs, so I was quite excited about that. And
amazing. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I released 3 new songs, but this is kind of like the big one. This is the one that I've made a music video for, and people are really enjoying it, and it's getting a great reaction so far. And what it was really is it's just a bit of an anthem to celebrate, music venues opening again. The whole theme of the song is "You Can't Stop the Show." Curtain ain't coming down. Let everyone know that we're back in town.
Which is fantastic. Well, which is perfect timing for now. So, well, Mark, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Obviously, if you want to go and see the boys, they're on social media. Mark's on social media. A1 are on social media. So all the details are there. Yes. Or just give me a message, text GFM, followed by your message to 81400, and we will give you all the details. But yeah, I will see you on that tour. I'll definitely come and see you, mate. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Are we going to be giving a couple of tickets away for the Birmingham
we are,
day?
aren't we? We discussed that. Yeah, so we will give a couple of... You know what we'll do? We'll play another song next week, and I will give the tickets away next week. So we'll make people wait a bit.
Yes.
And we'll play another A1 classic next week, and I will give you details of the competition to win 2 tickets to go and see A1 in Birmingham. And after that, while we play this song, we'll work out a question that I can give next week, Mark.
Fantastic.
So this is Mark Reed's own single. It's only just been released. It's amazing. It's called Stop the Show, and this is Grogeous FM.
You can't stop the show.